Here it is at long last. It's draft week for your Dallas Cowboys, and it's mock draft time here on the Blitz. Plus, what are the top 10 draft classes in Dallas Cowboys history? It's all coming up next on the Blitz, your Dallas Cowboys report.
Pops out to the right, breaks a tackle. They blitz it. Prescott throws it down the right side for Lamb. Caught it! Back to throw, rush, sacked by Parsons. Heaves it deep down the left side for Gallup. He's got it. Touchdown!
You are moving to the wide receiver.
I don't know how many times you can say you take a receiver and you upgrade the physicality of your team. I think this guy does.
And this guy, he can run the route tree. Whatever route you need, he can run.
Reminds me of a taller, a little bigger Jordy Nelson. The ability to play outside and inside.
This guy's like CeeDee Lamb, the way he poured his body, dropped his weight.
He almost sudden that when we get out here, we can coach him into route tree. Just
In the day, he's a playmaker on all three levels. He's a dog with the ball in his hands. If you put this kid on the outside, just ask him to route up DBs and get off press, you're going to be disappointed.
his toughness wasn't there, his maturity level wasn't there.
His best attribute is his play speed. I mean, it jumps off the tape.
The room was like crazy impressive. I don't think I can do the best around getting you that.
He bullies DBs and dominates jump balls as a real football player.
And that is exactly what the Dallas Cowboys are looking for this week. They are looking for real football players, and we're doing the same here on this draft preview edition of the Blitz. Bill Jones along with Kyle Youmans. We will have our own mock draft for you, but I could just listen to that stuff for the next 30 minutes.
Can you hear my smile too? Like I feel like I can't stop smiling. My cheeks are stuck. It's draft week. We're closing in on that NFL draft. It's such a fun time of year, and it's also a nerve-wracking time of year as well.
Exactly, and you can sense it in that behind-the-scenes stuff there in the draft room, the work that's been done behind the scenes, and really with the inactivity as far as outside free agents being signed and the needs that this team has. There's a lot of pressure in that room to come up with the best players.
Absolutely, there is. You look at the window. Everybody talks about the winning window, and you still have a core of your guys. You still have the Dak Prescott, CeeDee Lambs, the Michael Gallups, and Zach Martins on the offensive side. Then, of course, you've got young stars that you found in the draft with Micah Parsons and Trevon Diggs on the defensive side of the football. The draft is where you keep that window open. You keep that extended, even with an inactivity in terms of the free agency side of things. Yes, that is a disappointing aspect in its own right. However, this is a chance for you to get better as a football team moving into the future, and it starts in NFL Draft Night 1, and it makes it really tough on this front office.
In that draft room, they've made some very good decisions here of late. As we showed you there, 4 Pro Bowlers in the last 4 drafts, including Micah Parsons last year, Trevon Diggs the year before. What up next? Well, what's up next for us is the mock draft, and we'll tell you who the Cowboys are thinking about drafting in the first 3 rounds of this draft.
The Blitz is brought to you by AT&T, official sponsor of the Dallas Cowboys, and by the Dallas Cowboys Football Club. This segment is brought to you by AT&T, official sponsor of the Dallas Cowboys.
Oh, what an exciting segment this is as we have our mock draft ready to roll right here. We will tell you exactly who the Cowboys won't pick on Thursday in the first round and on Friday in the second and third round. All right, let's dive into our mock draft 2022. The 5 guys that you think might be available for the Cowboys.
So here's the thing. I've got guys that are off of the boards. So that way we keep this as a realistic scenario. These guys are not available for the Cowboys at pick number 24. Tyler Linderbaum, Trevor Penning, Jordan Davis, David Ojabo, edge rusher out of Michigan, who tore his Achilles in the draft process. And then there's guys that are not graded high enough. Bernard Ryman out of Central Michigan, offensive lineman. Kyer Elam, a corner out of Florida. And then Sky Moore, the wide receiver from Western Michigan. So here are the 5 guys that are on the board that we're going to pick between. If I'm the Dallas Cowboys, I'm looking at offensive line. Those 2 names up at the top have been heavily talked about throughout this draft process, and it starts with Kenyon Green out of Texas A&M. The play strength, the SEC caliber, the ability to block on the run, to be in pass sets, to move, to get to the second level. He has all of those things. What he doesn't have are the testing numbers. It provides a little bit of pause. It provides some room for debate. That's why Zion Johnson's even in the conversation out of Boston College. But if I'm making the pick, Bill Jones in that Cowboys war room, the guy I'm standing on the table for is Kenyon Green out of Texas A&M.
All right, and if I see that Devin Lloyd, the linebacker from Utah, is available for the Cowboys at number 24 in the first round, I am instructing everyone to run to the front and with that card with Devin Lloyd. This guy is a playmaker, testing numbers great, 6'3", 237. Everything about him I love, and I think that you pair him with Micah Parsons. Here's a guy that had 8 sacks, 4 interceptions, 22 tackles for loss. They brought him off the edge, just like what Penn State did with Micah Parsons, what the Cowboys did with Micah Parsons. I love that pick, but I also understand the need that this team has right now.
That's the position value versus the need value for the Cowboys back and forth. Are you going to go best player available? Have the Cowboys set themselves up enough to go best player available in this scenario? I don't necessarily think they have. I think they've unaddressed that offensive line. It's definitely a struggle for this team. The linebacker spot you still feel decent about. No, it's not a foregone conclusion that Leighton Vander Esch, Micah Parsons, Luke Gifford, and Jabril Cox are going to be the best linebacking core in the NFC East. However, I think there's more there to work with than they have on the offensive line. That's why I think you have to go with that positional need in pick number 24 in the first round.
So we are taking Kenyon Green out of Texas A&M, and the Aggies rejoice. I also like, with that number of players available, I like trading down, picking up another top 100 pick.
Good possibility,
this is a very deep draft. All right, round 2. The players available on our board. There you have it right there.
Yeah, you got a couple really good names here. A couple offensive linemen. We just took one in Kenyon Green, so maybe Abraham Lucas is off the board here. Washington State, Darian Kennard, you can maybe throw him in the conversation because he has that guard tackle flex, but I think those next 2 names, Bill, are where that conversation begins. Sam Williams out of Ole Miss. He's a Dan Quinn guy. He's been somebody that's been in that conversation all the way through this draft process. A sneaky edge rusher, had some off the field issues that kind of suppressed his early draft growth, or at least his his view in terms of the draft experts out there. But he's really kind of soared toward the top of draft boards, or at least into that second round. He provided a ton of jolt for that Ole Miss defense, one of which was one of the best in the SEC. But is it enough to go away from a wide receiver? That's where it gets tough.
And I love this wide receiver out of North Dakota State. And that, of course, would be Christian Watson, who ran a 4.36 40. Check out his numbers: 38.5 vertical, 11.4 broad jump, 6.96 cone drill. He brings special teams value in the return game. He reminds me of Jordy Nelson at 6'4", 208 pounds. And if he's available at number 2, I'm running the card up for him. Now, I didn't get to run the card up for Devin Lloyd, but I would for Christian Watson. Have I convinced you?
You know what? You've convinced me. It's a little scary knowing that he played in stadiums that have bouncy houses in the end zone, and they're playing against future accountants and whatnot. However, I really do like Christian Watson a lot, and there was no George Pickens on the board. There was no Jahan Dotson on the board. So wide receiver pretty thin when you get to 56. If he's there, I'm okay with that being the pick.
All right, so we've taken a guard and a wide receiver, and now round 3, here's what we have available.
Yeah, this is really tough for the Cowboys because you don't get a shot at David Bell, Logan Hall, Christian Harris, Brian Asamoah, Jalen Petrie. It seems like it's drying up. However, you do have a couple guys here. What about Jelani Woods? This is where you might be able, after addressing some positional needs in the first 2 rounds with wide receiver and offensive line, maybe you keep going to best player available from here on out. This could be where it starts. Jelani Woods, 6'7", and every single inch of it. He is as athletic of a tight end as we've seen testing-wise in the history of the NFL draft. He could fit in this offense because he could fit in any offense, Bill Jones. I'm okay with this being the pick. Don't sleep on an edge rusher here again, even though Sam Williams was in that conversation. He wasn't picked. I think they can maybe go edge, but here I'm okay with Jelani Woods.
We have a consensus in the draft room. Jelani Woods is the pick. Started his career at Oklahoma State, finished at Virginia, and put up big numbers. He is your number 2 tight end for the Dallas Cowboys. All right, up next here on the Blitz, we go one-on-one with Trevon Diggs.
This segment was brought to you by AT&T, official sponsor of the Dallas Cowboys.
Welcome back to the Blitz. Cowboys began their official offseason program this past week, and Rob Phillips had a chance to catch up with Trevon Diggs.
Rob Phillips of DallasCowboys.com here with Cowboys Pro Bowl corner Trevon Diggs. Pro Bowl has a nice ring to it. Trevon, thanks for joining us. And it's nice to catch up with you, not only in the offseason, but in a kind of a normal offseason where there's not COVID restrictions right now. Does it feel kind of normal for you guys getting back at it with this voluntary offseason program right now?
It feels kind of normal. This is actually like my first real normal, like no COVID restrictions, anything, like first one. So it's kind of like, feel like my rookie year. So, because I got all the, everything back to normal. So, I'm enjoying it. It's fun. You don't have a lot of restrictions. Everybody can just be themselves. And I feel like it's going to make us closer.
Yeah, and walk us through for fans that aren't familiar with how the program works. You guys are now in week 1. It's phase 1. Kind of walk us through what a day looks like for you guys right now. And also maybe what you're trying to work on specifically, physically getting ready for your 3rd season.
Yeah, so week 1, we just getting in meetings and stuff. Getting our feet under ourselves. Meetings, meeting with the guys, going over things that, we thought we could have been worked on, things we can get better at from last year, working on how we want to be this year, the goal we're trying to set for this year and the things we want to accomplish this year. So, just get on the same page for as far as week 1. As far as the weight room, the weight room, running's running, those things come with football. But, it's been a cool, we did a cool exercise today, with the defense and just trying to build that camaraderie and just coming together and being closer.
So you probably don't remember this, but I'm in Oxnard with you last summer, and I asked you, what did you see on film that you were trying to work on? You told me I got my hand on 14 balls last year, only picked off 3 in 2020. You watch film of yourself coming off this Pro Bowl season. What do you see that you're like, I've got to improve this?
I feel like I just got to improve my game all around, just being a complete corner, just being that shutdown corner. And I feel like, I'm going to do everything I can, work in this offseason and, just take it to the next step and the next level.
What about goals for this? I know you guys aren't in OTAs yet. It's not minicamp yet. But where do you feel like this defense can go after making the jump that you did in Dan Quinn's first year as DC?
I feel like this defense can go really far. I was really excited and proud of, what we did last year. And I feel like that was a good start, to build on. We lost a couple pieces, but we got to fill those spots and, keep going. We got a good base, a good ground, a good foundation, and we just got to build off that. And we got the guys to do it, so we just got to get it done.
Does your son Aiden, have any specific goals for his dad in year 3? Has he told you anything, hey, you got to get this done in year 3?
He always messes with me every time someone catches a ball on me. Every time someone scores on me, so I got to hear his mouth. I still hear his mouth today, about anything. Any play that I gave up, he remembers it, and he makes sure I know. For sure.
High expectations always.
Always. I need it.
Pro Bowl corner Trevon Diggs. Thanks for the time.
Thank you.
Trevon Diggs, 2nd-round draft pick in 2020. How does that draft class rank with some of the all-time greats? 65, Roger Staubach, Troy Aikman in 89. Next on the Blitz.
The NFL Draft is right around the corner, and that means it's time for another Power Rankings powered by Reliant Top 10 Draft Classes. As we welcome back in Nick Eatman, I'm Kyle Youmans. And Nick, it isn't necessarily draft classes specifically. It's actually more of a rookie class Because you got to have that same kind of perspective.
Well, definitely. It's mostly draft, but, you know, you're going to get some guys after the draft, those rookie free agents. The Cowboys have prided themselves on getting some of those. So some of these rankings here have some really good undrafted players that kind of affect the numbers a little bit.
Completes the whole picture for the Cowboys as a franchise. Let's start off with number 10. What you starting with?
Well, usually it takes more than one guy to make the draft class, but in 1990, it was Emmitt Smith. You got to have him on the list. They got him 17th overall, traded up to get him. You know, they got some other guys in there, Kenny Gant, the Shark. But it was an Emmitt Smith draft. He's one of the greatest players to ever play, all-time leading rusher. He makes the list. Number 9, this is the Tony draft. Tony Dorsett, okay. Tony Hill. You got him. They traded up to get him. Dorsett, number 2 overall. Tony Hill, both those guys were staples there from the late 70s and the 80s. Let's go to number 8. We got the 91 draft. This one was solid all the way through, top to bottom. You had the number 1 pick, Russell Maryland. He really wasn't the best player in there, but Eric Williams, Leon Lett, Larry Brown, who's Super Bowl MVP, just from top to bottom. Great job there with the 1991 draft. We'll go to number 7. This is what I was talking about with an undrafted player. 1973, Drew Pearson, undrafted free agent, has the Hail Mary, all these great plays. Also Harvey Martin, Billy Joe Dupree, Golden Richards. Really a sound draft, but that getting Pearson there late was big. Number 6 is 2016, and actually, truth be told, this one is probably, I would say last year would have been in the top 5. These draft classes can go up and down a little bit. I think with Jalen Smith now no longer being here, Zeke's tapered off a little bit. We'll see about Dak. He's off. He's the franchise leader. You get him in the 4th round, a face of the franchise. Obviously, that was huge. Anthony Brown is helping that class a little bit. So we'll see how it goes. This thing, they may get themselves back into the top 5. Number 5. Jason Witten in the 3rd round. I mean, Jason Witten, the story is he ripped the door off. He was so mad he wasn't in the 1st round, the 2nd round. Cowboys were so happy that that frame didn't work out so well because they got him in the 3rd round. He just ends up playing more games than anyone else. Never got off the field, only missed 1 game. But Tony Romo, I mean, at the end of the draft, just getting him away from Denver, that was huge to get him another face of the franchise for a moment there. Terrence Newman, let's don't forget, the 5th overall pick. So that was a great class, headlined by Romo and Witten.
Absolutely, and then you look at number 4 through 2, what you got here. Let's lead into that number 1 draft class.
Yeah, well, let's go with number 4. They wanted to change. Bill Parcells wanted to get into a 3-4 scheme and knew it would probably take a couple of drafts to do it. It didn't. It just took 1 because they got DeMarcus Ware there at the 11th overall pick. And then after that, it was just Marcus Spears, Chris Canty, Jay Ratliff in the 7th round. Don't forget Marion Barber, the Barbarian there in the 4th round. So that was a really big draft class there for Bill Parcells. All right, number 3. This wasn't just a couple guys. How about a 12, the Dirty Dozen? That was back when they had a lot of rounds. 12 guys made the team. It starts with Randy White, the Manster there, number 2 overall. Some people thought he was a linebacker. He was a defensive tackle, an All-Pro, and a Hall of Famer at that. All right, number 2, 1989 draft. You got Troy Aikman. They had to hit a home run. They did. They got Troy Aikman. And then they ended up after that with just Stepnoski, Daryl Johnson, Tony Tolbert. That was the first one of Jimmy Johnson, Jerry Jones. Those 2 guys put together a great draft. It starts with Aikman, but that really kind of led to the team of the 90s.
It was an all-star class, but sitting at number 2, you're looking at Troy Aikman and Moose and these guys, and they're still not the number 1 class. That says a lot about at the top spot.
Well, I think, and my math has never been really great, but I think I just added up together about 7 Hall of Famers that we've talked about in those first 9. About 6 or 7 there. How about this number 1 class? 3 in 1 draft. That's amazing. I don't care what era it is. You get 3 Hall of Famers in 1 draft. It's not only the best in Cowboys history, it's probably the best of all time. Very debatable. 1964, Mel Renfro in the 2nd round, and then they end up, we'll see if this Bob Hayes guy can play football. I know he can run. He's very fast, Olympic gold medalist. Let's see if we can make him a football player. He changed the game, ends up being a Hall of Famer. It really was the reason why there's a zone defense now. And then in the 10th round, Roger Staubach. I mean, he's going to go to the Navy. Let's see if he comes back and wants to play football. And if he does, maybe he'll be a great player. Maybe he'll be the best quarterback or one of the best quarterbacks in NFL history and arguably one of the best players in the Cowboys history. 1964, hands down, that's easy. 3 guys that made it to the Hall of Fame in 1 draft.
You have so many gold jackets to work with, and of course, hey, it set up the Cowboys for success throughout the franchise's history. He's Nick Eatman. I'm Kyle Youmans. Thanks for joining us on this edition of Power Rankings, presented and powered by Reliant. Bill?
Can't quarrel with that draft class, 1964. We wrap up the Blitz in just a moment.
The Blitz was brought to you by AT&T, official sponsor of the Dallas Cowboys, and by the Dallas Cowboys Football Club.
Final minute of the Blitz. Got to tell you about the party on the Plaza. Cowboys draft at the Star, presented by Miller Lite. This coming week, starting on Thursday, the first round, Cowboys with a 24th pick. As we close it out, give me one sleeper pick you like to see the Cowboys make.
How about a early day 3 guy, DeMarco Jackson, linebacker out of Appalachian State? He's got all the heart, all the grit. I like the way he plays the game.
All right, we'll see you next time on the Blitz.